The next time a Trump type comes along, let's look at the anatomy of Trumpism and see where it came from. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Deep questions here. Tom in Urbana, Illinois. I have a feeling you have one of these deep questions. Go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Tom, for taking my call. My biggest concern, and I'll try to make this brief, is that I see a lot of red through the center of the country. Is Trumpism going to die with Trump, or are we going to see a resurgence with a Tom Cotton or somebody like that in the future? We don't hear much about the Tea Party anymore, and I'm just interested in what your thoughts are on that.
Well, the Tea Party was being run by FreedomWorks and funded in large part by FreedomWorks. And FreedomWorks is the group that about a week after the April 7th article pointing out in the New York Times and everywhere else that black people were dying disproportionately, that was when FreedomWorks started pushing out there, it's time to reopen America plan. And I got an email from FreedomWorks this morning, yesterday actually, about calling people to action and bragging about it. And, I thought I had the story here about how, FreedomWorks has been pushing people. That whole protest outside the, I believe it was Philadelphia, it might have been Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania, the polling place or the counting where they were counting the ballot and people showed up to protest. A lot of that was being organized by FreedomWorks. They're bragging about it in their emails. So, they're still around. I think that we have to realize that Trumpism has a couple of different tranches. And it's worth going through them. Number one, there's the white racist tranche. That's, been with us forever. That was the George Wallace Republicans. Back then it was the George Wallace Democrats. Now it's the George Wallace Republicans. They're going to continue. And who knows? Tom Cotton may well be their champion or some other Southern, white Republican politician. Then secondly, you've got the people who actually have a legitimate economic grievance that has not been answered by either the Republican or Democratic Party. People who have literally watched their jobs go to China. They have seen their factories shut down. In some cases, they even had to train the people who replaced them. The Chinese and the Indians would send people over here to be trained. I mean, this was a big story for about 20 years. This all started in a big way. Reagan was the big cheerleader for this, for neoliberalism, for what's so-called free trade. And then George Herbert Walker Bush negotiated the NAFTA agreement to do it in our hemisphere and proposed giving China most favored nation status. Bill Clinton brought all that into being. So these folks felt betrayed by both the Republicans and the Democrats. And one or the other party is going to pick up that mantle. Now, the Democrats, there have been folks in the Democratic Party who have been taking this position forever. But they're the progressives. It's been Bernie Sanders and Sherrod Brown principally carrying this in the Senate. And there's a half a dozen or a couple of dozen people in the House who've been very outspoken about these issues that, we have to start buying American. We've got to stop incentivizing companies. The U.S., Mexico, Canada trade deal or whatever that Trump signed actually increases the tax break that companies get if they move their operations to Mexico. It made it worse, not better, right? So that tranche of Trump supporters, I think that they, number one, have a legitimate grievance, and number two, one of the two parties is going to decide we're going to pick up these people if it's the Democrats, or we're going to hang on to these people if it's the Republicans. And that's going to be a potent force going forward. And so, trade is a huge issue, and the Democrats have just completely failed in their need to address this issue because of internal debate. You've got the corporate Democrats saying free trade is a wonderful thing, and then you've got the progressive Democrats saying no, we need a certain rational amount of protectionism to retain American jobs. Then the third tranche essentially are the so-called social issue folks. You've got the homophobes. I guess you could throw those into the category with the racists, and and then you've got the religious, people who are religious fundamentalists who either want to control women, abortion is their whole issue, or they are looking for the end times. And I think there's going to be some fracturing there, particularly if the Supreme Court. I keep coming back to this. I'm not seeing a lot of people speculating about this, but I think this is actually a really big deal. That if the Supreme Court strikes down Roe v. Wade, the battle's going to go to the states. And the states are going to settle this fairly quickly, I'm guessing. You're going to have a few states. Louisiana will probably be at the front of that line. where it's basically illegal or almost impossible to get an abortion. You're going to have other states where it's widely available, and people will simply just cross state lines to get abortions, at least people who can afford it. The big losers, of course, will be poor people. But, you know, poor people never got much media attention. But my point is that abortion as an issue that the Republican Party can use to consistently win elections by bringing along their religious base is going to fade away, in my opinion. And that's why I think, and I think that they've known this since 1980 when Reagan made this one of the cornerstones of his campaign and really amped it up in 1984. That as long as they can keep abortion legal, they can yell and scream about it. But once abortion becomes illegal, then they've got a problem, because a lot of people are going to be seriously pissed off about it and really, you know, upset and concerned about it. And everybody just thought, oh yeah, those guys are just crazy. You know, we can ignore them. You know, it ain't going to happen. It's the Supreme Court. Well, now it's here. Now it's real. So I think, frankly, Tom, what's going to happen, and thank you for the call, is that the Trump followers are, and the Trump movement, Trumpism, the part that is just bound to Donald Trump himself is a fairly small part of that. It's probably 10 or 20 or 30% of the entire Republican electorate. They're going to follow Trump to a TV network or something, but that's it.